Europe's Tzu Chi volunteers sent 1,000 pieces of warm jackets to Serbian refugees before Christmas. Indonesia Tzu Chi volunteers sent rice and instant noodles to DaAi villages, helping them tide over the pandemic. 歡迎收睇DaAi Headlines， 我係 Ruby 我哋一齊嚟睇下今日嘅內容。As winter came, Europe's Tzu Chi volunteers went to Serbia to give out warm jackets to the refugees in 5 refugee camps. In addition to winter clothes, a company also donated 20 second-hand computers to the refugee center. Let's join them there.
450件嘛，对不对？所以对，好，那我们继续哦。
Checking the quantity of winter clothes and confirming whether all sizes were available, the volunteers in Europe continued to care for the Serbian refugees by sending them 1,000 pieces of warm jackets before Christmas. Affected by the pandemic, the price of the materials for making the jackets increased because of lack of supply. However, the manufacturer maintained its original price for Tzu Chi, as he learned that these jackets are to help refugees. The waterproof and warming effect is also the same as before. The temperature in Serbia dropped strongly in winter, yet many refugees were still wearing thin clothes. They put on the jackets immediately once they received it.
I really appreciate it, and I'm happy Tzu Chi is with me.
This time, Tzu Chi donated warm jackets to 5 refugee camps. Besides giving them to adults, Tzu Chi has also prepared children's size for them to try on.
Great.
Come to Europe. If you need any help, you can call us.
The card given by the volunteer shows the contact information of Tzu Chi's liaison offices in various European countries. Volunteers also entrusted the refugee committee to inform the refugees in need.
The phone numbers of all Tzu Chi offices in the whole of Europe. So, whenever somebody from the refugees come to any of those cities, he has any trouble, he can contact Tzu Chi, and Tzu Chi will help him.
In addition to winter clothes, Delta Electronics also donated 20 second-hand computers for the training staff of the center to use. Before Christmas, this gift is extremely precious. Tzu Chi's cultivation project helps outstanding disadvantaged students overcome adversity so that their learning won't be affected because of their family issues. The scope of assistance not only subsidizes the cost of learning, but also helps to find resources. Through education, it is hoped that these children can turn their lives around, creating a new blueprint in life.
When I was young, my mother was very busy at work. She would give me a piece of paper and a pen for me to do a drawing beside. Then gradually I got interested in drawing. Now I'm living with my mother and younger brother. I haven't seen my father since I was grade 2.
All the way, I felt sorry for him because living without father was not his choice. He had no self-esteem and was rather introverted at the beginning.
We have expectation on you, so you really need to work harder. When I first met him, he was very quiet and shy. Then we slowly communicated with him until later his heart opened.
Now he becomes more sunny and lively.
Like when we have exams, we often have to change and buy new tools. It will cost me several thousand NT dollars at a time. Volunteers would ask me every month if I need any drawing tools or materials. Sometimes they would even ask me to buy more, relieving my financial pressure a lot.
The cultivation project is different from our usual visitation because we not only give them subsidies and loving care, but also accompany the children in their study, so that they won't give up learning and the opportunity to pursue college studies because of the family factors. A good university means their future will be better.
In the cultivation project, we will provide the children with living allowance and tuition subsidy. We will also help them with after-school tuition fees. Yan Ting is one of the children in the cultivation project and studies medicine in Tangan University. When he was told to be selected as the best intern, he informed Tzu Chi volunteers immediately instead of his parents. He was graduated with the first in the department. But then, he also invited Tzu Chi volunteers and a social worker to join his graduation ceremony.
I'm responsible for the preparation of 3 meals and cleaning the whole house so as to relieve my mom because she needs to work night shift.
为了让妈妈不那么辛苦，因为妈妈是要上大夜班。我第一次出去工作是国三的时候。
I did my first job when I was grade 9. I worked at a construction site because it is paid daily, but I often hurt my hands by sawdust. It was just a minor injury. The serious one was I hurt my waist before.
我那个腰有闪到。
I'm really not willing to let him do that when he was so young. His mother is a Vietnamese immigrant who came to Taiwan for marriage. He worked in both winter and summer vacations so as to earn his first semester tuition fee. I think he has difficulties because he studies in a private university in Kaohsiung.
这个帮助对我来说是非常非常非常大，就是
The cultivation project helps me a lot. I do not need to worry about my living expenses and tuition fees. I can concentrate on my study and pursue the degree I want. My goal is to enroll in postgraduate of traditional Chinese medicine. I want to be a Chinese traditional medicine practitioner in the future to give back to society.
然后之后未来当一名中医师，希望能够就是透过自己的一些付出，能够回馈给社会。
If all the children we cultivate can get into a good university, I believe their families not only can be self-reliant, they can also get rid of poverty and turn their lives around.
是陪着孩子一起圆梦，建构他的人生新蓝图。
In DaAi, DaAi Hospital has gone out of business for more than 10 years. Now it is being transformed into a long-term care center. While undergoing the transition, the medical equipment was donated to Tzu Chi's assisted device platform, which found 2 medical institutions in Pingtung to take over the equipment.
DaAi's DaAi Hospital needed to clear out old medical beds, the last of which were moved out with Tzu Chi volunteers acting as a matchmaker, finding Pingtung's DaTong nursing home to receive the beds.
In fact, what our long-term care nursing is lacking are some of the resources that could be used for our clients who are aging. Of the 113 medical beds they had, we were able to take 13 electric beds and 11 mobile beds. This is the big help to DaTong nursing home.
Since receiving a request from DaAi Hospital, Tzu Chi volunteers actively rushed out to collect this batch of medical hardware, contacting all medical units across Taiwan and carrying out 14 different shipments.
Tzu Chi volunteers and I are all serving these disadvantaged groups. Everyone contributes so much. Donating to these disadvantaged groups is great.
Ping An Hospital is the largest psychiatric hospital in Pingtung. In response to aging populations, the director believes that in the future, residents will need more medical care rather than just daily care. Therefore, these electric beds will provide great help to caregivers.
Because our organization has been established for nearly 20 years, many of our residents are aging quickly. If we can convert these existing fixed beds to electric multi-position beds, it will add greater convenience to the lives of patients.
The beds in DaTong nursing home are made from wood. This time, we take this opportunity to replace them with the ones donated by Ping An Hospital. As the residents of the nursing home are getting older and need further care, it will be more labor-saving and easier for the nursing home to take care of them.
Second-hand medical beds have been taken over by the institutes which need them, keeping love alive.
In Hsinchu, the year-end blessing ceremony for the community focused on environmental protection. Volunteers made various barrier-breaking games with recyclables so that participants could bring back environmental protection knowledge and implement it in their daily lives.
In the community year-end blessing ceremony hosted by Hsinchu, there was an environmental protection game with 6 levels for people to play.
There are saving water, the 3 benefits of vegetarian food, environmentally friendly tableware, doing good deeds, being contented, and Jingsa aphorisms so as to impress the participants.
Environmental protection must be done from ourselves, setting a good example for the younger generation.
These things seem to be very simple, but actually when doing it by myself, it really needs some techniques. I think I can bring this activity information back to share with others.
This year's blessing ceremony is different from previous years that participants sat in round tables instead of a row. Also, the process was simplified so that the public can get the red envelopes of blessings and wisdom earlier.
I feel very calm and touched every time I come. Every year I join the event together with my mom. My heart will then be calmer. I did this over the past 20 years and feel more stable.
I have the feeling of coming back home. The enthusiasm of Tzu Chi brothers and sisters make me feel returning home. My spiritual hometown. It's an extraordinary and comfortable feeling.
In the year-end blessing ceremony, apart from enhancing people's awareness on environmental protection, there was a creative market to raise funds for pandemic prevention, gathering people's love to fight against the virus.
In Bali, Indonesia, residents have moved in the second DaAi village for more than a year. However, due to the pandemic, many residents suffered unemployment and reduced income. So the volunteers brought rice and noodles to help them tide over difficulties.
It has been 1 year since moving into the second DaAi village because of COVID. Suharni lost her farm work and is finding it hard to make a living.
I want to start a small business so that my children can go to school. Otherwise, my husband's blindness means that there is little that I can do.
Earthquake and pandemic have occurred one after another, and assistance cannot be overlooked for these needy individuals.
I am very thankful to Tzu Chi for building a house for us. I am very happy for this, and thank you, Tzu Chi, very much. Tzu Chi also brought us the rice and instant noodles. It can meet the needs of the family for at least 2 weeks.
This is the practice of Tzu Chi people, giving love and support to each other.
While the economy hasn't fully returned to normal, Tzu Chi is helping care for the body and mind of many villagers, giving them hope for the future.
Jakarta, Indonesia, is entering peak rainy season. Officials are actively carrying out flood prevention work. They are digging ponds and reservoirs in areas where flooding often occurs to provide better protection from inundation.
In December each year, Indonesia enters peak rainy season. In order to avoid flooding, the Jakarta Special Administrative Region government has done several flood prevention tasks, such as adding 234 hectares of land for flood prevention and renovating ponds to hold more rainwater. Currently, the Jakarta Water Resources Authority is building 23 new ponds in various regions. One of them is a reservoir in West Semper Village, North Jakarta. Construction of this 3.8-hectare pond began in October last year and is planned to be completed by the end of this year, 2021.
Luasnya sekitar 3,8 hektar.
The area of this pond is 3.8 hectares. The purpose is so that the villagers avoid flooding problems because this pond will contain water from the Program Gubakuteng River. It is then discharged to the North Sea estuary in Jakarta.
Nanti akan ditampung di waduk ini, kemudian akan dialirkan ke
The current construction process is still waiting for the next budget of the Jakarta provincial government.
Kita tinggal menunggu anggaran selanjutnya dari Pemprov DKI Jakarta.
At present, this reservoir is doing deep excavation work, and the depth of each reservoir will reach 7 meters. There are currently 4 heavy machines in the process of this work. For a local community official, the proximity of the pond to the residential area helps local flood prevention work. During the rainy season, flooding always becomes the most common problem in West Semper village.
Biasanya kalau hujan banjir di sini. Alhamdulillah dengan adanya waduk ini.
If it rains, there will be flooding. I hope that the pond will be built so the flooding problem can be avoided. The villagers also hope it will be done with a lot of equipment so that people will come to visit this location and make the area more lively.
Ramai lagi gitu nanti.
Due to the low-lying area in the highland suburbs of the surrounding cities, rainwater poured into the rivers of Jakarta, causing West Semper village to be flooded for many years. In addition to containing the water of the Progo and Gubuk Genteng rivers, this pond also discharges water to the North Sea estuary of Jakarta. In addition, a sluice gate is set up here to prevent outside water from coming in. It is said that there will be many facilities in the surrounding area, including food courts and parks, will be aided by addition of artificial reservoirs, allowing rainwater to be completely controlled so that Jakarta can stay away from the trouble of flooding.
Low-income families have been deeply impacted by the pandemic. In Depot City, West Java, a benevolent person offers help every Friday by providing a variety of daily necessities to those in need for free.
This grocery store is named after the owner Chairul and is located in Depot City, West Java. Every Friday, there will be a Muslim charitable activity to provide free daily necessities for local disadvantaged families. Seeing that many local people were affected by the pandemic, he initiated the Friday charity event to reduce the burden on local residents. The free materials they provide include grain and hot food. In order to target those who really need it, the volunteers will also first do home visits. And to prevent crowds, beneficiaries must come to collect supplies at an arranged time.
We used to send out the supplies we prepared. In fact, not all supplies were things that the families needed. So later, we adopted the supermarket operating concept and just let them take what they need.
This grocery store has helped 60 families and has been affirmed by local residents. Residents who are in need can get timely help.
Karena kebetulan saya dagang kan, jadi agak susah juga dagang karena
In the past, the pastries I make are sold to small vendors. During the pandemic,
jadi kayak kemarin tuh ada beberapa kedai juga tutup, berarti kan
a few small vendors closed down and my income was affected.
Waktu juga kan.
This kind of charity really help us.
Gini sih ya, alhamdulillah. Kebantu untuk kebutuhan kebantu gitu.
Yang saya rasakan emang sangat-sangat semua ini kan berdampaknya terhadap masalah ekonomi gitu.
I was greatly affected by the economy. I'm really at a loss because our family income has been greatly affected.
Aku nggak bisa ngomong kalau merasa sekali, soalnya kita juga nggak bisa ngapa-ngapain gitu, jadi apa-apaan.
With this grocery store, at least we can meet our daily needs.
Kita menurun banget gitu ya. Untuk keperluan sehari-hari juga kita alhamdulillah dengan adanya ini kita bisa kebantu, itu aja deh.
As long as the pandemic continues and local residents' income has not returned to normal, Chairul and other volunteers vow to continue carrying out this heartwarming Friday charity activity.
Child abuse incidents are often seen in news, with many children ending up in the ER. For emergency physicians, the emergency department may be the only chance for children to be found abused by outsiders. Therefore, emergency physicians must have a high degree of sensitivity so that the abused children will have a chance to be rescued. Today, we launched a special series featuring integrated care provided for children in need.
小朋友是一直重复受伤进来，每一个小朋友对我们而言都是非常重要的资产。
急诊这次受伤，也许就是他唯一的一次可以获救的机会。
当那个保护性个案来急诊的时候，
When a child abuse case comes to the emergency department, we'll first take care of the emotion and then go to the inspection area to classify the child's injuries. When our colleague finds symptoms of abuse or being beaten, we will suspect that the child is a high-risk protection case. We will go report to the emergency department leader and our social workers. For this kind of patients, we will also protect their personal information.
We will observe the caregiver's attitude, the injured part and injured type of the child, and how the caregiver presented. If the two can't match each other, or they are old ones and new injuries, or if they are repeated, we may suspect the repeated occurrence of child abuse.
This is the trauma area of our emergency room. All trauma patients will be here. We will make diagnosis and do appropriate treatment. When dealing with small patients, we will arrange a special space for them so as to protect their privacy.
For those who are hospitalized or severely injured, generally they are younger, especially under 1 year old, because children under 1 year old may be less able to resist or express themselves.
Last year, we have reported 180 child abuse cases in total. On average, there was one protective case every 2 days reported to authorities.
The government has laws to protect our children. We will inform the government that the children are injured. After that, there will be social workers who care about their case and their families.
It seems simple, but actually not that easy. It is not easy to discover an abuse case. It is not easy to take him out for medical treatment. It's even more difficult to see him grow and his family issues can be solved.
Handling child abuse is relatively complicated, and it is impossible to handle it with only one department. The most important thing is how to identify the case at first to avoid secondary injury.
Medical education should be consolidated for medical students. If we could instill them the concept of child abuse in medical school, I believe that they will have a higher alertness to child abuse when they practice medicine in the future.
In response to the recent COVID cases in California, the United States, Tzu volunteers sent 4,000 medical masks and 192 sanitizers to Juanita Blakely Jones Elementary School to safeguard the health and teaching staff and children. We'll leave you with these images. See you next time.